What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of After the Movie, currently in the theater parking lot with my good friend Steven. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing well. How you doing, Sean?
You know, I'm doing okay. Doing pretty good. It's been a while since you and I have done one of these After the Movies. And you know what? Unlike the last time, we don't have annoying theater goers.
That was a pleasant experience.
That was a pleasant experience.
Nice
this is a Monday night IMAX Primo screens. Usually, I've kind of noticed, if you have, an IMAX screening or something, because people pay more for their seats and that, they're going to behave much better, and this was great. I mean, there wasn't too many people here. It's a Monday night as we're watching this thing, which I'm glad, because it's something to do on a Monday, right? Because usually it's Thursday, Friday, or the weekends we see something, but it's nice to see something on a Monday. But we just saw the latest the latest Studio Ghibli film, directed by the legendary Hayao Miyazaki, The Boy and the Heron. We watched the English dub version, and with the Studio Ghibli films, you can watch subbed or dubbed. It really doesn't matter. The quality is pretty much the same. It's one of those, they go all out to kind of get really high quality actors for the parts in this film. So this movie, my goodness, because it's been a while since he directed a movie. What was the last one? Ponyo, I think?
I think so, yeah.
So I haven't watched every Ghibli film. I've seen about 13, I think, including this one. My favorite was Whisper of the Heart, personally, and Kiki's Delivery Service is another one I like quite a bit. But I mean, he's made Spirited Away is probably his most famous, and he's done Mononoke and all sorts of other
Castle in the
Sky, yeah. So but yes, I mean, Grave of the Fireflies, that's another one I quite liked as well.
Yeah.
That one's a very sad, depressing one.
Very sad and depressing.
But so this one is called The Boy and the Heron, and I enjoyed it overall, but this is one where I'm so confused by so much that happens in this thing. I mean, you've seen it twice. Yeah. It just gets weirder and weirder and weirder as it keeps going on. I guess a quick plot, so I'm just kind of even trying to read the synopsis. I'm it's about a boy named Mahito who just lost his mom. So the last 2 movies I've seen in theaters are set during World War II, and then the ending is takes place 2 years afterwards. So between this and -1, which you got to see when you get the chance.
Yes, I
mean,
do.
-1 is so
really
good.
Do.
But anyways, so this is about this boy named Mahito, and he loses his mom kind of at the beginning of the film, and then he ends up moving someplace with his dad, in this English version voiced by Christian Bale. First I was like, wait, that voice sounds familiar.
Yep.
It's kind of nice to hear Bale do a voice acting again, because he's done a lot of the Ghibli films, and he obviously did a lot of voice work through the years and stuff too, so he's very good at it. He was kind of cracking me up. He had some of the funniest lines, and he moves into this village, and that he's got a new mom coming in, which is his mom's sister, right?
Yes, correct.
Which, I mean, Christian Bale really did a number on that family. But anyways, so he moves in, and then there's this Heron that kind of tells him, this Heron, which is voiced by Robert Pattinson in this version, which you cannot tell that's his voice at all. He just disappears with it.
He really does.
I think this is his first voice acting role, and he does a really good job as this really weird, terrifying heron looking thing. The animation is beautiful.
Yeah.
But Miyazaki has these really freaky designs, which I'm ugh, this is kind of creepy too. So he goes in, and this heron tells him that his mom is truly alive. He has to kind of go in, and then he enters some other visually kind of crazy world, plays around with time and all sorts of. It just gets weirder and weirder as it goes along, and it just keeps throwing in more and more people. I mean, you've seen it twice, so it probably makes a little bit more sense having seen it a second time. But
I definitely say you pick up on more the second time you watch it, which, I mean, that goes for all movies, right? But I definitely understood it better this time rather than the first time. But I mean, I loved it. I really, really like this movie a lot. And back to Pattinson and his voice acting, it almost sounds like Defoe's character in The Lighthouse.
Right, which Defoe was in this movie,
He
too.
was, yeah. He was the Pelicans.
We have 2 Batman, and we have the Green Goblin in this thing, too, so.
Yeah.
Defoe only has, a quick, really small part. I mean, Mark Hamill also voices, the great uncle, or whatever, the
Grand Uncle.
I mean, I don't know, this movie keeps, I mean, I enjoyed it, overall, I had a pretty good time. I mean, there's some funny moments, some great animation, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And sometimes I like when movies just get really weird and stranger. But I just kept wondering. I mean, the plot kind of switches around a bunch of times. First it's about his mom, but then it's about his new mom. In which case, and I don't know how best to describe this thing. You just kind of have to say this plot point happens from here, and then it goes from here, and then there's giant like humanoid parrots that try to eat people and their world is going away. It's so weird to describe. You just kind of have to watch it in execution, because like on paper this just sounds totally insane, but here it kind of works in the context. Like you have to, like, I mean, our main character, he goes into this world and at first he kind of questions things, then he just kind of just accepts it. Like any weird thing that gets thrown at him is like, oh, you're so and so, I'm not going to really question why this is happening,
why you're here, how you're here.
He's like, I'll just roll with the punches, if you will. Like after the first initial point where the Heron talks to him, he just is like, I'm just going to accept it as it is and all its wacky shenanigans. It just feels like every minute they're kind of introducing like new crazy stuff into this thing, and just be like, oh yeah, that stone tower that was there, and then like they just randomly exposition it to like Christian Bale's character, and is like, oh well, let's go visit there. I'm like, okay, now we're here now. But yeah, I'm kind of the same about you. I definitely enjoyed this thing. I had a pretty fun time with it overall. I'm just like in that state of confusion, trying to figure out so much that's kind of going on in this thing, because a lot of his other films are a lot easier to follow, I think.
That's fair.
Than this one. In terms of like what the real goal of it kind of was. Like Spirit Away, I could follow through that one a lot easier. What's another one of his? Like Kiki's Delivery Service.
Kiki's
is my is out of the Miyazaki films that I've seen, because he didn't do Whisper of the Heart, I think.
No, he didn't.
No, because somebody else did that one, and I think they passed away shortly afterwards. I was reading about. I don't know, unless I'm getting confused with something else. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But Kiki's Delivery Service is my favorite Miyazaki film that I've seen so far. Like I said, I like Kiki and the whole story of that one and that, but this one is quite good. It's not his best work, I think, but it still is a pretty entertaining. Like, what did you think overall? Like, is there anything that stood out to you that like?
Well, yeah. So after the first watch I did a couple days ago, what really stood out to me was how there were tributes to pretty much all of the other Ghibli films that he worked on. Like, you could see tributes to Kiki's, to Castle in the Sky, to Spirited Away, just with the whole world and everything. And it's, so that part I really appreciated. I thought the animation was
the animation looks
gorgeous.
Astounding. Like, I mean, the animation looks great.
Oh my god.
He also has those creepy. I feel like he just doesn't. I don't know if he likes old ladies, because he always just draws them so crazy with their big, huge like noses and stuff, and like because they go from like these like average looking people, and then all of a sudden they're just. When they get older, it's like, like the Wicked Witch of the West, basically.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of describe it, like, every single time. Like, some of those designs, like, they're just like, oh, it's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I feel like that's just a sense of humor or something. Like, you just want that's the only way I can kind of interpret it going, like, with those designs. Because, like, every old person I've seen in, like, some of his movies just ends up looking, like, disturbing, old and disturbing in a lot of ways, but I do get kind of a laugh at it. Like, there are some like pretty funny moments in that throughout the film, particularly with this crazy creepy heron, because I thought it was like at first, like when the heron kind of shows up, I guess spoilers at this point, I thought it was just a person in a bird costume. Like, I thought it was going to be like when I was watching, I'm like, oh, this must be the uncle that disappeared. He got turned into a heron, or like he's stuck wearing like this heron bird suit. But no, it's just this heron with this humanoid head that just sticks out at times. I'm like, okay, we'll just kind of roll with that too. Like I said, Pattinson's voice acting is, to me, like, is that really him? I start to question it, because he just pretty much escapes totally. You don't hear his voice in there. Granted, he's done a lot of different characters over the years and different accents, but he disappears so far into this thing. I would never have guessed it was him with that voice. It's like when I hear Heath Ledger as the Joker, I just wouldn't know that's him when he's doing it. I mean, they have a lot of veteran voice actors, like Mark Hamill's done a lot of stuff. Willem Dafoe obviously has kind of a quick part, and Christian Bale as well, and some other actors and actresses that were in the film. Florence Pugh. But yeah, and Dave Bautista, at first I'm like, wait, that voice sounds familiar. I'm like, oh, it's Bautista. So, he's done, like, in terms of, like, wrestlers turned actors, I feel like he's probably the best, in terms of, like, versatility. Like, he's done the widest range of stuff. John Cena's kind of, like, got a shtick with the comedy stuff, and The Rock is just playing The Rock every time. Pretty much. It works. It's like Arnold. You pay to see Arnold be Arnold. You pay to see The Rock be The Rock.
Exactly.
And you get those, like, vibes with him here. So, like I said, pretty good movie overall. A little bit harder to follow than kind of some of the other ones, but I mean, it is an entertaining one.
bit of a slow build up too. But
yeah. I mean, it is over 2 hours long sitting in that theater.
But once you get into that other world, I feel like that's when it starts to kind of pick up a lot.
Right,
quicker.
and like when they start to bring in some of the other characters, and like I mean, towards the end, it kind of makes more sense. Like you kind of realize who is who in it, but at first you're just like, what are we doing here now? Right?
Just a lot at once, and then it slowly starts to like
make sense. Which is why I think a second viewing would be pretty good for something like this. Obviously, you've seen it a second time, so you're able to understand things a little bit better. You kind of know what's coming and such, so it makes a little bit more sense in hindsight, because you're trying to figure out, like me, I'm just trying to figure out what's really going on in this thing. And then it kind of all makes sense towards the end. The ending is a bit abrupt, though. I will say that. It probably could have ended either a little bit sooner or gone on a few more minutes, because it just feels like, okay, we're here, and then we move back to Tokyo in 2 years. The end.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either or, though, you are right. Like, it could have went on like a few more minutes, or it could have stopped a couple more minutes
beforehand. Because that
scene.
other stuff, it just
That's
felt...
fair.
It kind of took me out. Like, it felt a little too abrupt. I would have probably just ended it in the reunion section, because the other, last minute or so, it's like, oh, it's been 2 years later, we moved to Tokyo. And then that's it. I'm like... It felt like towards the end, he was just like, I just want to end this thing, and then just the end.
Maybe.
2 years later, and I got nothing. Just the end. That's the way I interpret it. I don't feel like it was... You could have... Like I said, it just... In terms of just... The abruptness of it just kind of took me out of it, because I was expecting a little bit more, and then 2 years later, we were moving back to Tokyo. Oh, okay, and... Oh, that's sort of it. I don't know. I mean, the ending, it could have been a little bit stronger. Like I said, like you were saying, could have ended, 2 minutes earlier. In that moment, I thought that would have been more fitting, or they could have expanded just another minute or two. Just
to wrap it up in a little bowl.
Right, because it felt a little abrupt, and given how long we were sitting through, I feel like it could have been a little bit stronger. But again, it's more kind of, there's nothing I majorly dislike about this film. It's one, like I said, seeing it in IMAX and was really good to see, because I can't remember the last time I watched a 2D animated film in IMAX. I'm surprised -1 at this theater was not playing in IMAX, but this one was. But I mean, it's kind of crazy. The last two films I've seen were set in World War II and then ending 2 years after World War II,
right?
With their setting, and Japanese films, mind you. I don't know what the deal is with the timing of these releases or whatnot, but hey, I mean, I could play. They're both pretty good movies. I obviously like -1 a bit more, but this one was still pretty good. Very, very different. Very, very different.
Yeah. One's live action, one's animated.
right. In terms of the story and everything, this one gets way weirder and more abstract. But I mean, you can't go wrong. Japanese cinema is taking over theaters right now. It's crazy, because I was reading something, and this past weekend was the first time in history that 2 Japanese films were in the top 3 at the U.S. box office between this and -1. -1 became the highest grossing live action Japanese film in U.S. history.
Yeah, I saw that. That's impressive.
Yep, I mean, more people are... You're seeing... And these don't have, huge marketing pushes everywhere. It's just kind of stuff online and enthusiasm from fans and such. I mean, animated films are kind of doing big, booming business. They'll have they'll have a big opening weekend, then they'll kind of drop off afterwards. But you're seeing more and more nowadays, because they're actually expanding them in theaters. They're not making them as hard to find. And I think that's great, because we're getting, these films overseas. I mean, 2D animation... Unless it's anime, I'm not going to see a 2D animated film in theaters anymore.
Right, yeah, pretty much, exactly, yeah.
Right, and like I said, if you want a good one, I mean, I'm trying to... Spider-Verse was a good one. That one kind of...
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
That one has 100 different styles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Spider-Verse is...
different, yeah.
Right, that's different. But a pure 2D animated film from start to finish like this, hand-drawn, you're not going to see it unless it's coming from Japan anymore.
Yeah.
Because every, American anime film... or animated film, outside of something like Spider-Verse, which is the exception, is pretty much that 3D animation. I love 3D animation just fine, but
of course.
I kind of want that 2D animation style again, because I really miss it. So, but is there anything else you want to add to the film or whatnot? And
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it.
Right. So go check out The Boy and the Heron. It's playing in theaters right now. It's numero uno at the box office. Highest grossing opening ever for an original anime film from Japan. So, which is great. I love the fact that we're getting these movies over here too. So
yeah, it's great.
it's like I said, when they have like kind of the slow, usually in January is where we get a lot of the anime films. Like,
yeah.
So whenever a new one comes out, I like to go in like knowing like pretty much nothing. That's the fun for me, because I never know what I'm going to get. Like, I could get like a weird Japanese rock opera like I got earlier this year. I think it was this year, or it was last year. Like I said, it's kind of holding together. Or something like this where I didn't really watch the trailer because I kind of avoided it, because I'm like, I want to see a Studio Ghibli film in theaters, but really not knowing too much about it. So, but alas, we are here. So, you got anything to plug, sir?
I don't think so, man.
Okay.
Thank you for having me as usual.
Right. It's been a long time, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back. We're closing out the year in style. I think I only have like maybe 2 or 3 movies left to see, and then we're on to 2024. Crazy. Time flies by when you're having fun. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me, Steve. This is our thoughts on The Boy and the Heron, and we will see you all in the next video. Peace out.